Thank you, Mr. Cerna.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes. This meeting of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation and Sacramento Area Sewer District is being recorded and will be broadcast on Sunday, February 14th at 6 p.m. on Metro Cable 14, the Local Government Affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, compensation for meeting of these legislative bodies is required to be verbally disclosed. The amount of $100 will be paid for each member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, and the amount of $100 will be paid for each board member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Area Sewer District. Compensation for Sacramento County Supervisors and City of Sacramento Council members is paid to the county and city respectively to partially offset the costs of those governments. Compensation for other board members is delivered to the individuals. In compliance with the directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and closed to the public. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, please dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, callers will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are always accepted. Send your email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Welcome everybody to our February 10th meeting of the Regional Center.
Item.
Before item 1, I believe Prabhakar would like to make an announcement.
Yeah, I just want to let the board know that we have Director Sander was appointed from Rancho Cordova to serve on this board, and Director Gatewood will continue to serve as alternate from the city. I don't believe Director Sander called in with the first roll call, but I just thought I'd let the board know, the new addition to the board.
Thank you.
Item number 1, acting as your Sacramento County Sanitation District Financing Authority and Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District separate matters. Authorize issuance of the Series 2021 bonds to refund the Series 2007B bonds, terminate the Series 2007B swap, and potentially refund Series 2014A bonds.
Can we have the presentation for item 1, please? Morning, Chair and board members. My name is Joe Mastretti. I'm the Chief Financial Officer.
There we go.
Hello?
There we go.
As I was saying, I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the Sanitation Districts and the Financing Authority. And today we're asking for you to authorize the issuance of the Series 2021 refunding bonds. The long-term financial plans of the districts have focused on restructuring some of our debt, and there's a couple of objectives in this effort. One of the main objectives is to transition our variable rate and debt and swaps from the LIBOR index, which we'll cease to publish in the very near future. We also want to provide stable monthly rates for our customers, and we're going to do this by reducing some of the peak annual debt service particularly in fiscal years 24, 25 through 35, 36. And we're always looking to reduce the overall risk and cost of our debt portfolio. We have a pretty large debt portfolio, which is typical of the type of agency that we are with large capital projects. This series is the second transaction of 3 that we have planned for restructuring. We completed the 2020 bonds last summer, where we took out the 2000C variable rate bonds and the related swap. That was a $100 million variable rate debt issue, and we replaced it with fixed rate debt. and we were able to achieve some savings and some restructuring with that transaction. And then we have one more plan for our 2014A bonds, which could occur anytime between now and 2024 when they have a current call date. The primary objectives for this particular funding, the 2021 bonds, is to get rid of the 2007B variable rate bonds and the related swap. If we replace these bonds with fixed rate bonds, we won't need the swap because the swap is the hedge for the variable rate debt. To leave the swap out there by itself would expose us to interest rate risk that we don't have right now. This also gives us an opportunity to do some of that debt restructuring, move some of the maturities around to reduce that peak debt service. And we're also going to try to achieve some net present value savings, which we typically do when we refund our bonds. Although in this particular transaction, it is the lower priority. I'll give you some background on just what the 2000B bonds are. They were issued in March 1st, 2007. They were actually refunding bonds from the 2004 bonds that were used to finance the interceptor system that we have today. They have a final maturity of December 1st, 2035, and they have an outstanding par of a little over $353 million. This makes it one of the largest debts that Regional San has ever had, and by far the largest variable rate debt. And the index, the variable rate index on these bonds is at 67% of 3-month LIBOR, plus 53 basis points. These bonds are callable right now. They had a current call date in 2016. We have not called them to date because we didn't want to take a big loss on them. But now we have an opportunity to possibly get some savings out of that. The swap that's related to these bonds is actually a separate transaction. So they do exist independently of each other, but they're structured to match. And that's why the notional value of the swap is the same as the par value of the bonds and amortizes in the same schedule. The fixed rate leg of the swap is that 4.125%. That's what creates the synthetic fixed rate out of these two transactions. That's the rate that the district pays the counterparty. The variable rate leg is the amount that the counterparty pays the district. And you see that matches the index rate. So this is a perfectly matched swap and variable rate debt. It also has another feature where the bondholders are not able to put those bonds back to us anytime before maturity, which is kind of an unusual feature for variable rate debt. All our other variable rate debt can be put back to us at some point before the final maturity, so it has that extra risk. These particular bonds now have a new risk because of the transition away from LIBOR. They don't have good fallback language in the documents, so they could end up becoming a fixed rate debt. The language basically says if LIBOR ceases publishing, then the last LIBOR rate is the rate that the bonds will use, which basically would create a fixed rate debt out of this. And first we might think that's a great thing because we like fixed rate debt, but getting it in this fashion would not work pretty well because it would be a short-term fixed rate debt on a long-term bond, which would not work out well for the bondholders, and they would not be happy, and they might litigate to recover any damages they might suffer. And in addition, we would still have that swap outstanding, which is then would be unhedged variable rate risk.
Yeah, I'm sure. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes. So, Joe, why is LIBOR ceasing publishing?
There's a couple of different reasons for it. I think you might recall that that banks were accused of manipulating LIBOR.
Right.
And there was quite a few lawsuits that have been filed and some settlements, and we have actually participated in those settlements to the tune of almost $800,000. So that's one of the reasons that the regulatory agencies don't like it.
Okay.
The other, probably even more significant reason is LIBOR really doesn't work anymore because the banks do not do interbank transactions the way they used to. So this index is based on a very thin market compared to what it used to be. So they're looking for alternatives now, and this is a good opportunity for us to move to the other alternatives anyway.
Right.
The best alternative for us being fixed rate debt.
Okay, thanks.
So we have a couple of things going for us right now based on, on the market and on these bonds. We can call these bonds right now at par, so that's a great feature to have. We want to restructure these bonds anyway because they have maturities in that 2024 to 2036 range that we want to reduce some of our debt service. And right now the market is providing us an opportunity to convert those to fixed rate debt without having to suffer a really big net present value loss. And that's kind of an unusual situation where the termination value on the swap is low at the same time that interest rates are low on the fixed rate bonds. And that typically doesn't happen. Usually those two things are completely opposite of each other. So that's kind of the background for why we want to do this now and why we're trying to hurry to the market very quickly, because this situation doesn't typically last a long time. So just an overview of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to replace the variable rate debt and the swap with conventional fixed rate bonds. That would give us the ability to eliminate all the risks related to variable rate debt. And we're requesting a contribution of up to $120 million towards this transaction, which has been outlined in our long-term projections for several years. And this helps us reduce the cost of our debt portfolio by paying some debt off early, and allows us to amortize some of that principal sooner. The shorter maturities cost less than the longer maturities, so that's why we want to do that.
I'm sorry, Joe, can you explain to me what the contributing up to 120 million means?
Basically, we would take 120 million from our reserves and put it in the escrow that's going to be formed to complete this transaction.
Okay.
So there's a couple of things that are going to occur in there. One is we're going to pay off all the old bonds. We're also going to pay the swap termination fee. And I have another slide here that'll show you a little more detail on that.
Okay, thanks.
So the 120 million goes towards that, and we're also going to restructure.
But it's not just a fee or something. It's actually going to pay something down.
Right.
Okay.
And I'll show you. I have a graph that shows that too.
Okay.
So that allows us to do that restructuring and create some of that debt savings. And this kind of shows right here on this chart. The dotted line is basically the current annual debt service profile. This is what's resulted after we just did the 2020 bonds. Prior to that, those peaks were up around 150 million a year. Now they're down to around 140. This transaction should take it down to a little bit below 130. And then the 2014A transaction should take it down to around 120. And that's well within the capacity of our current rate and fee structure. And that's one of the main reasons to do this type of restructuring is to not pressure our rates and fees. And you can see that little gap between the dotted line and the bars. That's the savings that the $120 million contribution creates. And it really sets us up well for greater savings with the 2014A bonds. If you see the little blue bars there at the end, past 2036, those are the 2014As and the 2020 bonds. Those will be eligible for calling in the next 10 years. The 2014As would be in a current call in 3 years. And we can move that principal amortization into those valleys that you see there in 2041 and 2036. And that should help us achieve really big savings with that refunding. This is just one example of the metrics that we're modeling for this transaction. This was done on February 2nd with the market rates that were in effect at that time. They're still pretty close to those rates right now. At that time, we could achieve just about neutral savings, just a little bit of positive savings there, without having to make the full cash contribution. And that would include taking out the old bonds, paying off the swap termination payment, and re-amortizing some of that debt to achieve that restructuring savings that we were talking about. And hopefully the market will stay in that sweet spot so that we can do this without suffering a big net present value loss. The loss is mostly associated with the termination of the swap. And right now the swap rate are in our favor, so that swap termination payment is the lowest it's been in a long time. And as of this morning, it's actually slightly lower than that. It's still a really good spot.
So you're going to do this afternoon, right? Just so it'll be done by 5 o'clock?
I would if I could. There's still a couple of things that we have to do, and I'll show you on a schedule slide here in a minute. This is the transaction team that we have. These are the advisors that we've used for many years on many different transactions. They're very familiar with us, so that they're very capable of helping us do this quickly. This is the underwriting team that we've selected. Even though we were doing this quickly as possible, we still did an RFP. We had 8 responses to that RFP, and this is the team that had the best responses. B of A Securities was the senior manager on the 2020 bonds, so we believe they're very well positioned to do this transaction very quickly. And they also were the lowest bidders, so that helps too. This is the anticipated schedule. The next thing that we really have to do is receive our ratings from the rating agency, and we can't really get that done today. We're actually doing presentations for them today. So we have to get that done before we can post the preliminary official statement. We have to give the investors time to digest it a little bit. So about the earliest we could price these bonds is about February 24th, which is still
Joe,
very fast.
Is there any reason to believe that our rating is going to be any lower than it was the last time?
I haven't got any indication that it will change.
Okay, because if I remember correctly, the district has one of the best.
Yeah, we did one
credit ratings in the
yesterday, and they
region.
were very happy with how things went. And they see, even though I think they see that we have weathered the COVID situation much better than most utilities, because we have reserves to withstand, number one, and we also have the revenue cushion, too. And we have done the proactive approach of helping the ratepayers, whereas some of the utilities, they're just dragged to it in a way.
Okay.
So all in all, they were very happy with the way, at least we did the S&P yesterday, and we got 2 more today.
Good.
Yeah, we expect about the same AA ratings that we've had for a while, and that makes our bonds pretty well accepted in the market. So I don't think
We got an upgrade last year.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, we
that.
got one of them. Yeah, we got an upgrade last year.
Right. So if we can price these on the 24th, we're hoping that the market will stay where it is now or somewhere close to that, and then we will close it by approximately March 10th. So that's a very fast schedule. Typically, we would do this in 3 or 4 months, and we're doing it in about half the time, less than half the time.
Sorry, it doesn't meet Don's expectation of 5 o'clock today, but that is pretty quick.
So our recommendation is that you approve the resolutions that authorize the issuance.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of staff? Anybody that's on the phone?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is there Is there a termination fee on the swap?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
What is that amount?
105 million.
As of February 2nd, based on the market dynamics on that date, it would have been $105,825,000.
Yeah.
Today,
So that's just a penalty fee, right?
it's not really a penalty. It's the present value of the estimated future swap payments. That, you know, when we pay the swap payments back and forth, we pay that fixed rate of 4.125%, and the bank pays us the variable rate, which is always lower. And the reason that we set this up this way was to create a synthetic fixed rate at that 4.1%, which at the time was a great rate. We couldn't envision at that time that interest rates would be this low for this long. So locking it in for, you know, as long as we did, in hindsight, wasn't the best thing. But at the time, these types of transactions were pretty common, and they were considered pretty prudent at that time. But in order to get out of it early, you have to pay the net present value of that difference in swap payments, and that's what it calculates out to. And it's based on the market rate for long-term swaps.
Now, if the interest rates slightly go up, wouldn't that penalty or the fee reduce considerably?
It could, and typically that's what it does. But they are independent things, and right now we're seeing them operate a little bit different than they normally do, with interest rates being low and the swap termination rate being low too at the same time. That's very unusual, and that's why we're in a big hurry. Because right now we could do this transaction in the current market and actually eke out a little bit of savings, which hasn't happened in the 5 years that they've been callable.
Any other questions?
You know, we didn't think that we would have the opportunity before Joe and I left, but I guess somehow this came through. This probably will
I'm
likely
sticking
be our
around
last.
just for this. Yes.
Well, that's good, so you don't get to
So
leave at 5
on
o'clock
the
either.
swap, with the terminating of swap, the $105 million, that's just the fee we're paying for the swap, right? It's not literally bringing down our loan. I want to just make sure I understand this properly.
Right, that's true. We're going to pay that fee now, but then we won't pay the swap payments for the next 15 years. And that's where the savings comes in the future. So it's kind of like prepaying your debt.
So to go back to the previous slide, Joe, I think the savings was what, 890 million?
The savings was approximately net
$100 million, a little over $100 million.
$890,000. Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you look at the interest costs, our new interest costs are much lower than what we would have paid. So that's where you get quite a bit of savings.
Yeah, you see the true interest cost of the new debt in total would be 1.27%. So it's pretty good rate. In the past, when rates were this low, that swap termination payment would typically be a lot more, like the 140 million.
Okay. No, and in my time on the board, the district has done a very, very good job at being able to go to the market at the time that we needed to in order to reduce the long-term interest rate. So,
Yeah, this definitely allows us to keep the rates fairly fixed. This, and like Joe said, there's one more transaction, and there's also a couple of operational-related projects that are in the works, which would allow us to reduce the operating costs. Together, all three of them will help us essentially keep the rates at where we are for probably next 5 plus, maybe close to 10 years.
right.
I mean, we'll look every year, but that's what we project at this point.
Right, and there's not a lot of utilities anywhere in the region that can make that claim.
And we haven't raised in the last 3 years. We've actually held them stable. for
Given
regional
what
standard.
we were looking at 10 years ago when we were talking about the planning of the Echo Water project, that's a,
Mid-60s is what we
Yeah.
were projecting by this
Yep.
time, the rates would be, and we're at 37. And not have potential increases. Along the way, we've done a close to $2 billion Echo Water project and another $300 to $400 million Harvest Water project, granted $300 million of which is a grant money. But even we pay about $100 million, which we're going to bring here for discussion. We'll still be able to manage with our cash and do relatively well. At least that's what we see in the next 10-year
Okay.
time frame.
we have no other questions?
What's our interest rate on that, the swap loan?
Excuse me, what was the question, please?
Interest rate on the
What's the
swap?
interest rate on the swap loan?
The swap has basically the reason they call it a swap is because the counterparties swap cash flows. Our
Right.
cost is that 4.1
2.5 or
1.52%, 1.52%, a little over 4%. And the other counterparty pays a variable rate, which is that short-term 3-month LIBOR rate. And it's basically designed to, and the bank expects it, that it will always be lower than the fixed rate. And it has been for most of the term of these bonds, and is projected to continue to stay very low, and that's why that termination cost is as high as it is.
Because if that variable rate comes up a little bit, then terminating the swap would minimize its termination fee as well, correct?
That's
I
true.
just want to make sure I'm understanding the swap.
Yeah, that's true. But then the opposite of that is then the bonds that you have to issue in the market to replace them would be at a higher rate. So that's the reason why we haven't done this transaction prior, is because there's never a situation where you get, both things working in your favor. Usually they work opposite of each other. So when interest rates are low, then swap rates are high. And if the swap rate is low, typically interest rates are high. So there's always that trade-off. And that's why we've held on to them, because they're very stable bonds. But going forward in the future, with the transition away from LIBOR, they won't stay that way all the way to maturity. So that's going to compel us to do something eventually, and we think this is the best time to do it now.
Sometimes the perfect storm is a good thing. Not very often, but in this case it
Right.
is.
We do have, the good things working for us is the callability and the market.
Okay, any other questions? Do we have a motion?
This is Villegas. I would move the item.
Do we have a second?
I'm sorry, what member was that?
Villegas.
Thank you.
This is Bruin, second.
Second by Bruins. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Bruins, member Bruins?
Aye. Aye.
Harris? Howell?
Yes.
Hume?
Aye.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Loloe?
Aye.
Singh Allen?
Aye.
Sander? Natoli?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Natoli?
Aye.
Orozco?
Aye.
Desmond?
Aye.
Cerna?
Aye.
Valenzuela?
Yes.
Vang?
Yes.
Villegas?
Aye.
And Frost.
Aye.
It is a unanimous vote with those members present.
Okay, great. Thank you all. Our
And
next item is public comment.
And we
I don't
do
know
not have any public comments, and we didn't have any public comments for item number 1 either.
Okay. All right. So do we have any comments from the public for issues not on the agenda?
We're going to put a little pressure on Mike and say, Mike, you have 15 minutes.
Okay, then we're moving to item 3 for SRCSD.
Item number 3, acting as a Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District Separate Matters Echo Water Project Quarterly Report for October 1, 2020 through December 31, 2020.
Can I have presentation for item 3 up, please? Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board.
Mike?
I think for a lot of you, probably most of you, I'm going to be a new face and maybe a new voice. My name is Mike Crooks. I'm program manager for the EcoWater program. I've been with the district for 9 years. Up until summer of last year, I was acting as the engineering section manager. And upon Vic Chiatani's retirement, I moved into his position as a program manager for EcoWater, and I've also got Harvest Water under my belt. So it's been a fun time for the last 6 months. So I'm just going to go through a few highlights of the report that you received, the quarterly report. This goes to the end of 2020, December 2020. We'll cover an overview of schedule and progress of the projects that are active. We'll cover a little bit of financial information, cost versus budget, and then we'll touch on the latest updates and milestones that are in front of us. I believe a lot of you have seen this before. It's a graph that represents the schedule for the various projects that make up the EcoWater program. Real briefly, the green colors represent design phase, the blue represent construction, the purple represent commissioning, and in a lot of cases, the construction is concurrent with some of the commissioning activities. And so you can see that a lot of the projects are behind us. We currently have 3 active projects in construction and commissioning phases right now. That would be the flow equalization project, biological nutrient removal project, and the tertiary treatment facilities project. Down below, we have a few other, I would consider them kind of closeout projects, and we're getting started on some of the planning and early design work on those. Going back to the active construction contracts or projects, flow equalization is one that has continued to drag on a bit longer than we had anticipated. The contractor, which is Tigert, had some issues with one of their subs, and this is a specialty sub that was to provide the automated washdown system for the basins. That sub is no longer on the project, so Tigert is trying to finish up the work for them. So it's a little bit outside of their expertise, but they've been able to make some progress. The control panels are installed. They're working on the programming and some of the early commissioning work. And right now, we're anticipating that they'll wrap up in around May of this year. The biological nutrient removal project, this is the largest one of the program. And this one addresses the ammonia requirement in our permit. We've made really good progress over the last 6 months. We've actually commissioned 3 of the 8 basins. We are treating live flow through this plant, through this process. About half of the total plant flow, the other half is going to the existing original biological process. But the contractor continues to make really good progress on the remaining 8 basins, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But it's important to note that even though total completion of construction won't be until October timeframe through the contractor's schedule, we will have enough facility online and running, most likely to meet our permit date of mid-May of this year, and that's to meet the new ammonia standard. And so that's really huge in my eyes, considering all that it's taken to get here. The tertiary treatment facilities it's been a great project from start to finish. The contractor's doing great work, great progress. The dry weather hasn't hurt them this year, so they've continued to make good progress. In some areas, they're actually a little bit ahead. Their completion date is roughly towards the end of 2022, so next year, about 1.5 years, which actually has a little bit of buffer between that date and when our actual permit compliance date is, which is in May of 2023. Let's see, this slide it represents basically our cash flow from conception of the program to today. The bolder colors represent costs actually incurred, blue being construction, the salmon color being soft cost, and then the faded out colors represent our projected costs from now to the end of the program, and we're pretty much on track with where we've been for quite a while. And things are looking good with respect to our budget. This diagram represents our expenditures versus our budget and our projected expenditures over time. So the green is actual expenditures, where the gold is our projected expenditures. We've been tracking really nicely through the course of the program. It's pretty notable. The last half of 2020, a little bump up in the actual expenditures. I don't know the complete picture of that, but I believe that it could be in part contributed to the biological nutrient removal project and the contractor's efforts since July of last year. We reached agreement with them on some of the claims issues. We established some new milestones in the contract, and since that happened, they've really ramped up their efforts, and I think that shows here on the expenditure chart.
Are they going to actually finish before the projected completion date?
So when we reached agreement with them in the summer of last year, their updated schedule showed completion around, I think, end of October of this year, and I think they're still on that pace.
Okay.
But the key is that we will have enough basin, so we're hoping to have entire flow from the plant go through the new heart. This is the heart of the treatment plant by middle of May, which is could be, if things go well, it could be weather permits, could be a few days earlier. So that's really a big accomplishment because last year we were looking at more like 2023 is when completion. So I think that's good.
Okay.
I need to note on this slide, the information actually didn't get updated. The information that's in the quarterly report that you received is correct, but this slide is not. This actually represents information from the last presentation that was given, which is the end of July of last year. So the updated numbers, I can just tell them to you real briefly. Program total expenditures as of the end of December were roughly $1.31 billion, or about 75.4% of our total budget of 1.735, leaving around 427.5 million, or 24.6%. For construction costs, the construction total of roughly 1.17 is still roughly accurate. Expenditures as of the end of December of 2020 were 927 million, or 79.2%, leaving roughly 24.3 million, or 20.8% on construction value. This slide highlights some of the updates since the last report that was given. We've got now over 4 million labor hours worked with only 9 lost time injuries. And I think this highlights a really successful safety program that's been implemented for the
Hi. Hello?
Yes? Okay, is there a question? No.
I have a feeling somebody's been multitasking.
What's it?
Someone on the phone is multitasking.
Oh, gotcha. Biological nutrient removal project. As I mentioned, 3 of the 8 basins are in operation. We are actually ready to bring in a 4th. A 5th, as of this week, has been filled with clean water to do some clean water testing. So again, just to point out, the contractor is really making some good progress on the remaining basins that need to be completed. The tertiary treatment facilities, it's granular media filtration and enhanced disinfection. Again, the project is going very well. The contractor is making excellent progress. They look to complete total completion within their original schedule, and pretty well ahead of the permit compliance date for having this facility in operation. Flow equalization, again, I mentioned this is the one project that's been dragging on for a while. Work on the washdown system is what remains, and the contractor continues to work on that, making slow but steady progress. CO tank conversion project. CO tanks, these are the tanks, the original biological process for the plant that was built in the 80s. And this facility is going to be no longer needed once the biological nutrient removal project is online completely and treating 100% of plant flow. And that's going to, again, happen this time, or May this year. And so we currently have a project on the books to repurpose those old tanks to provide flow equalization within the plant. And so instead of seeing a diurnal flow variation, we'll actually flatten that curve. And it carries a lot of benefits to the BNR, biological nutrient removal process, and other benefits to the harvest water program. So that's in the early design stages at this point. And then on the previous slide, there were some other closeout projects that were listed that basically include decommissioning of other facilities that won't be needed, plus the cleanup of the plant site in general, because the site has been a humongous construction job site for the last several years. And so we'll be removing a lot of temporary utilities, temporary trailers, addressing some pavement issues, fencing and gates and stuff like that, again, to kind of clean up the plant. Go through some slides. This is a fairly recent aerial photo of the overall plant site. And I know there's a lot of members who are new. If there are any questions about what I'm going through, please feel free to ask. The basins toward the bottom of the photo, the ones that have some green water in them, that is the flow equalization project, at which concrete lined and deepened those basins. So those basins are used for various reasons when we can't send water to the river. Anyway, the site is really starting to shape up.
I'd be happy to ask a question. I'm brand new, board member Sander, but the video is delayed 30 seconds to a minute versus the audio, so it's essentially impossible.
Okay. Sorry about that.
There has to be a better way to run these meetings, guys.
Yeah, we're working on Zoom, and we quite haven't got that. So hopefully with the next meeting, I was hoping that we would have it for this meeting, but the next meeting we should have Zoom.
Yes, we have been,
Okay.
we've just been
I'm the
testing.
new guy. My city's been doing this for 9 months via Zoom. We could certainly help you out.
Yeah. Just for those of you that are watching and the new members, that slide represents roughly about maybe 12 to 1,500 acres of the close to 1,500 acres the area of the close to 3,000 acres that the treatment plant sits on, just for the size comparisons.
Could I ask you a question on the visual? Why is the water is ready to release to the river green and the other water in the rest of the basins is blue?
So the water that's green is either partially treated or not untreated.
Oh, it's untreated.
And so these basins also hold flow if we have to shut down the plant for any particular reason, for O&M or maintenance activities. And so when we have to do that, we can direct flow here temporarily, and then it gets brought back to the head of the plant.
Okay, so that water hasn't been treated yet. That's why.
Yes,
it's
correct.
that color. Okay, thanks.
The other ones, they look blue, but they're really not clean. Those are the sludge stabilization ponds.
So you want to drink the green and not the blue?
I don't think you want to drink either one.
Okay.
This shot it's a close-up of a part of the, I'm going to say BNR, the BNR facility. And this shows actually 4 basins full of flow. Number 1 is the one on top, and then you can count down 1, 2, 3, 4. And the reason there's 4 full is we are transitioning, emptying basin 1, going to basin 4 because some additional work and repairs are needed in basin 1.
Go ahead and freeze that slide, Mike. So again, those of you, if you look at that concrete basins, that's roughly, I believe, either 16 or 18 football fields. To give you a sense of the size. When you're out there, one of the things that I'm hoping with the COVID hopefully under control by summer, we'll hold a board meeting at the plant so you get a chance to walk out and see. And by that time, we will also have put all of that process in use. So maybe there's a little bit of a ceremonial, breaking of something there to say that we have treated and we're treating all of our ammonia before it gets to the river. So, we'll plan based on how the code behaves.
And for the board members, just to save time and words, BNR stands for biological nutrient removal.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we've been calling it that for years, but it's just, we've got a bunch of new board members now, so that's what it is, remember it.
I've been trying to stay away from acronyms. So up until now, I've not been using them, but I think I'm good.
You have my permission as chair
Thank
this
you.
year.
My tongue is getting tired. So time check, am I running? Should I
Couple more
step through a
minutes.
little bit more
Yeah,
quickly?
let's
Okay,
wrap it.
I'm going to
Yeah.
zip through them a little bit. Another shot. I'm going to go back a little bit. One thing to note that a lot of the civil improvements around the facilities are starting to go in, the paving, the sidewalks, the curbs. So the site is really starting to shape up. This is a small component of the BNR facility is chemical storage and feed that I don't know if we're certain it'll be needed, but it's there when we do need it. This is a shot of the pump station that brings water to the BNR facility. This is referred to as a primary effluent pump station, meaning effluent from our primary tanks come through that little S-shaped channel to those pumps, and those pumps pump it over to the BNR facility. They're huge. I don't remember the capacity of them right off the top of my head, but they're rather large. And then the structure to the right of it, there's a large electrical building for those pumps, and then just kind of the furthest structure on the right-hand side is a biofilter to handle foul air out of the channel, the PE channel. Just a shot of one of the buildings associated with the BNR facility. This is a lab within the Area 52, what we call Area 52 control building. So a lot of finish work is going on. This is moving over to the Tertiary Treatment Facilities, or TTF. This shows the whole site. On the bottom part of the photo, those are your granular media filters. There's a total of 20 of them in 4 different quadrants. And then up from there is the disinfection contact basin. And up from there are the chlorine storage tanks, sodium bisulfite. And then on the sides, various support buildings. So just everything really shaping up, coming together ahead of schedule. This is a close-up of the disinfection contact basin. This shows that it's nearly buttoned up. So it's rather deep, large structure, serpentine channels within it that you can't really see anymore. But very closely, they'll have all the walls done, and then they'll just basically have to finish the deck, and then it'll be completely enclosed. Close-up of the filter structure. Again, 4 quadrants, 5 filters each. Important to note, 3 of those 4 quadrants are currently undergoing hydrostatic testing, so they're full of clean water to check for leaks. This part of the project really wasn't scheduled to happen for another month. So again, they're doing well and staying ahead of things. A shot within the filter gallery. This is the piping underneath the filters, handles float for backwash and filter, stuff like that. You just got to be there to see it. More shots within the building. This is the area control center for the TTF project. The interior improvements are going in, and it's going well. So that's pretty much that. Activities coming up, spring of 2021. We hope to be wrapping up the commissioning of the flow equalization project, the automated washdown system, continuing with the TTF concrete placement and building construction. System testing of equipment in BNR basins 5 and 6, and as I mentioned, they're actually filling 5 right now to be able to test the aeration system within it. Complete BNR tie-in to our secondary sedimentation tanks. That's really important, because without that, we cannot increase the flow through the BNR facility. And then initiate testing of the biological odor control facility. That's that bio air scrubber that takes care of foul air. And I think that pretty much wraps it up. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Just a quick question.
Chair, this is Villegas.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Oscar.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to staff. This is, for those of us that have been on this board for several years back, even when the threat of litigation, the actual litigation of our MPDS permit, all the negotiations that occurred to get us to this point, this is, I believe, arguably the largest capital project in the entire region in its history. And the fact that it's on budget and on time, saving ratepayers the threat of increased fees is phenomenal. And so I just wanted to thank staff that have been on this from day one, and the periodic updates that have indicated repeatedly that this thing was a tightly run ship, and that we are where we are. We're within. We can see the finish line, and we're there. So I wanted to just continue to say thank you to staff.
Thank you, Director Villegas.
Madam Chair, this Director Natoli for those on the phone. Yeah, thank you, Mike. And you mentioned 9 years with the district, but you were in water supply before you came to water quality, and appreciate
just about 20 years there.
Yeah, appreciate your efforts. I just wanted to ask, and it goes to something that Oscar touched on, certainly being within budget. And thanks for all the photos and information. But I just wanted to ask about the change order from original contract. We're at less than 5% change orders. But two of the categories, and this is really useful in your quarterly reports, show for design errors and design omissions about $14.5 million total, which obviously is less than 1%.
About 1.5%. And I've been thinking about that too.
Yeah.
Is to have a conversation, what is acceptable? I mean, there are things that I think we ought to look at in the long term. But obviously, we don't get 100% error-free, omission-free design, but what is acceptable? The other question that goes to my mind is, when these things happen, to fix it, we have, not only we pay the contractor, we also pay the consultant to redesign things. So should there be any kind of accountability from the consultant part, at least to say that, we won't charge you for the design work if there's an error or omission, we still have to pay the contractor. Right. Those are the kinds of things that I plan to talk, and just like you, I have been looking at this, at least in the last year. I think things have gone up a little bit related to the BNR project. So we're gonna work on that to see how we can make it better.
Well, and I appreciate you anticipated my question. So I just to your point, I was thinking about, is there any recovery? But on the other part of it, what is learned through this in utilizing this process? Again, that was my question. So I guess
we need to what we need to do is we need to look at how we'd like to think we're unique, but there are some large projects too. So we need to see how things are being done elsewhere, and also set some expectations ahead of time for the designers. And we literally used every designer that we could find, because this is a large project, and we broke these things into chunks and have them rush it. So there's some elements of that can play into it. But what is acceptable, and what is not acceptable, and how do we balance, kind of thing? That still is a work that we need to do.
Okay, good, thank you.
But just to clarify, for the most part, the engineering firms have not been going after us for additional fees, because that's something that we talked about years ago. And based on my background, if you make a mistake, that's your mistake to eat.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's what's been going on. And I do understand that will frequently lead to additional cost associated with the construction contract. But I think we need to look at those. We need to look at those very carefully.
Yeah, when that quarterly report comes out to you, I pay attention to that number.
Got it.
And I look at what was changed from last, and what caused it, and those kinds of things. I look at that.
Yeah. Thanks, I'd just like to echo one of the points that you made. And if you look at the design schedule that they had to work within, several years ago, everything was very compressed to meet the permit schedule.
Yeah.
BNR.
Well, I understand that, but they knew that going in.
They did, but going at that speed, and we switched gears on them too during design. They were going this way, and we told them to go that way. So, and I don't want to defend them too much, but that does play into the number.
Yeah, but we're going to look at it. It's not like this is something this is something to look at for the longer term. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, which Mike laid out, what are the other projects that we need to be implementing? There's closeout projects, one of which is a bioaugmentation. I think I don't want to jinx it, that I'm guardedly optimistic that we don't need that project, because we have developed some good relationships with the regional boards, and they issued a new tentative permit that's out on the street, which gives us enough flexibility where we don't have to install that facility. That has not just the capital cost, it has a fairly expensive operating cost. It could be $5 to $10 million in operating costs, additional operating costs, and which looks like we're going to avoid that. And we're still carrying that, Our anticipation is that we would get that permit probably by April. And then we will have a certainty, at least, for a period of time, that we wouldn't be
That's
needing.
great that we have a good relationship with the regional board now, but I was here when you couldn't make that statement, and I was at that meeting until midnight or 1:30
Yes,
in the morning.
it's evolved. I think we all
never know
evolved.
when those rules and regulations are going to change, so.
They're
Don't be putting
definitely
that,
working with us. They're definitely working with us, doing well with us.
okay, don't be putting that plan set in the round file anytime soon.
Keep the plan, but we'll spend the money.
Oh, no.
No, it's right up there with some of the transmission main projects that got delayed, FE2 in Folsom, on Folsom Boulevard. That got delayed by, I don't know, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
But then it ultimately got built. So that's why I'm saying.
That's the wrap on the presentation, if there are no questions.
Any other questions or comments?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
And to the board, particularly the new board members, I do strongly encourage you, when you have the opportunity to go and see what's physically at the plant, if you've never been to a wastewater treatment plant, this is, it's important they understand what it is the district does, the services that we provide, and the scale at which that operation exists.
Area-wise, we're probably the largest, maybe one or second or third in the nation, in terms of the area-wise.
Of inland.
Geographical area. Even the plant size, when we're done with this project, we're largest of this kind in the nation, and the largest tertiary treatment plant in the western United States when this is done. So it's a pretty sizable facility.
Okay. Thank you for that update. And our next item?
Next item is acting as your Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District, separate matters, board subcommittee update.
I'll just spend a couple of minutes. So back in late 2019, your board appointed a subcommittee to review 3 different items before they're brought to the full board. Those were the master interagency agreement. This is an agreement between Regional San and its contributing agencies, and also the county is part of it because of the staffing relationship. And then we also have a study to see how the district should have a staffing relationships with the county past the current expiration date of June 2024. And then also a study to look at whether the 2 districts should merge and become one district as opposed to operating as 2 separate districts. The subcommittee met a number of times, and I briefly provided updates along the way. And the subcommittee concluded its work with the last meeting a couple of weeks ago we had in January. So master interagency agreement, I brought it here at the last meeting where we showed the highlights of the changes. The contributing agencies are taking the turn to adopt those agreements, and then it'll come here, currently scheduled for the end of April. So that's number one. The second is staffing services study. As part of the discussions, there's been a guiding principles document that's set up to guide the relationship between the district and the county on a go-forward basis. And that's been shared with the subcommittee based on the feedback, was updated, and was also shared with the county staff, and I sent it to Ann Edwards last week, and we're going to be meeting later this month to go over some of these highlights of it. Not so much detail, but just the process side of it. I think we have about 3 to 3.5 years to work out the future relationship, how to tighten that. And currently, it's not as tight because just very, just a couple of sentences dictate the relationship. I think it should be much more structured on a go-forward basis. So we'll bring that here, either March or April timeframe in terms of just introduce the topic. The last but not least is the district merger. We looked at the pros and cons of having Regional San and SAST operate independently as they are today versus merging them. The general recommendation is to look at merging. both from the customer side of it in terms of the confusion, because when they look at why am I paying two bills as opposed to one kind of thing, and also confusion about the brand, who does what, versus internally, there are still a fair amount of internal restructuring that can happen as a single entity. I think that what we discovered is, or what we learned is, a good chunk of that we could do without the legal merger of the two entities. But what we decided is, given there's so many things going on in the next year or so, including me leaving, wait for the next executive to come in and get hands-on and then kind of drive that about a year to year and a half from now. So we're going to kind of put that on hold for a little bit of time. So those three issues were briefed to the subcommittee, and like I said, a couple of them will come here. And so that's the end of the subcommittee role, and I want to appreciate the role, and I want to acknowledge Director Howell was one of the members, Director Kennedy from the county, Director Villegas, Director Orozco, Director Bruins, and then Director Hume were the 6 members that served, and I want to thank them for their service. And any future work related to these, when we need, we'll probably ask for the formation of another subcommittee at the time. That's all I have, if you have any.
All right, thank you, and thank you to all the rest of the people that served on that subcommittee. There was a couple of tense meetings, and I'm glad we got through to the other side.
Yes.
And with that, we move on to miscellaneous director and district engineer matters.
I just have 3 things that I want to bring up. We will not have the board meeting, next board meeting in February. So the next meeting is on March 10th. I will send, for the benefit of the members that may not be present, I'll send an email out about the cancellation of the next meeting. And then the next meeting will be on March 10th. And also, as we speak, for the 6 new members on the board, their briefing binders are on their way to you. And I will be scheduling a Zoom session so that the members, hopefully many of them together, can meet the executive team via Zoom, and we'll go through the district. So it'll probably take about an hour. So we'll be reaching out to your offices to start scheduling. And given the COVID, I thought about having a one by one coming to the plant for the tour, but I think we're going to wait for that a little bit in the interest of the pandemic situation.
May I suggest, if you're going to do that by Zoom, keeping in mind Brown Act requirements, but I would suggest that it might not be a bad idea to have a few people on that Zoom call at the same time of the new board members.
That's what my hope is.
And the reason why I suggest that is I think that there are questions that will come from some of the new board members that will be helpful to everybody.
Yeah, the board members, that's correct. Yes. So we'll be scheduling that meeting. That's all I have for the announcements.
Okay. Any comments from directors?
Madam Chair, just a quick question. I know that with our plant operations, that's a 24/7, and that as we look at the rollout of vaccines for the different tiers of frontline, certainly health professionals and emergency response, and then obviously the different tiers, have we been able to get accommodation for those, at least essential positions, in the sense that those that are operators who may not have backups, or if folks were to get ill and such, so we'll be able to get.
Yeah, we're in Tier 1C. I think the targeted vaccination for the tier was originally February, March, but I think it's looking more like a May, June timeframe now, given the way that the rollout is happening. We're working with the Dr. Kasiri's office in terms of we subdivide our staff because there's roughly 750-ish staff, and not everybody is out in the field. There's roughly about 30% work from home. So far, the thinking is that all of them will get that opportunity at the same time, not have a focused. But that may change, because this is, as you know, is evolving. It's kind of every week there may be a new direction. But we're paying attention. We're keeping in touch with Dr. Kasiri's office and making sure that when the time comes, there's obviously also not everybody is up for taking a vaccine.
Right.
So, there's been questions already asked of, and it hasn't been mandatory.
Right.
But we are making available to staff all the educational resources and put on our website with the links so that they can go to and educate themselves in terms of the safety of the vaccine and so forth.
And the essence of my question was just if you have critical positions that may not have much backfill behind them as it relates to certain aspects of plant operations in particular, but maybe other functions that, might be a smaller subset of folks that, are, I mean, all the folks obviously are essential to the, the day-to-day functions of the districts, but I was curious about that. So, okay. You were working with Dr. Kassir?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I think maybe Don's point was people that physically have to be at the plant or that have to physically be in the field should maybe come to the top of the list.
Yeah, if there's a subdivision, that's how it's going to be. Those that have to report to the field will come to the top.
Okay, all good.
The other two items are the receive and file, no actions are needed.
Okay.
So we can go to closed session. There's a separate phone number that's being sent out. For those on the call, please log off this call and call in that number. It shouldn't take more than 5 minutes to close session.
Okay, so we're going to adjourn to closed session.
Thank you.